How much of a win total would the Jags get from this year's draft guys is the question, and Calvin Ridley. Like, seriously, they can't be worth 3 wins.
Here's the problem with
right?
your question. Yeah, this year's draft haul, if you find someone who's responsible for 3 wins in this year's draft, it just means you got extremely lucky. You hit on a draft pick that you weren't expecting to hit on. More likely it's a guy like Ridley, right? Or even more likely than that, it might be one of these guys on the team last year who steps up like a Trayvon Walker or Devin Lloyd or even a Josh Allen. But the point me and Kasey were talking about during the break, Brent, was this. If you had second half Trevor playing in the first half last year, Trevor himself would have been responsible for adding, 10 wins to this team. And then when you think about the progression to year 2, like how much are you really able to attribute to Ridley? That being said, if you look at all the one-score games the Jags had, wins and losses, and you say with a guy like Ridley in there to go up for 50-50 balls or be able to reach the end zone on a diving play, maybe he does add 2 or 3 wins to this team.
Well, Kasey, 2 or 3 wins seems a lot to me.
Doesn't it?
It does, but it doesn't, because I was thinking in terms of actual football games that they played, and they should have beaten the Giants, right?
Yeah, totally.
Twice. You kick a ball going in the end zone, and Christian Kirk comes up just a bit short. I'm not saying Calvin Ridley gets in there, but it feels like Calvin Ridley falls in the end zone there. So that's a win in itself, and that's just an exact situation. And I think if you take the part that Aaron said with you have Trevor cooking from the get-go, I think you find another game in there that Calvin Ridley impacts that you win. So I think realistically, you can say they win 2 more times.
That's interesting. I think it's a little high, but I don't mind your explanation or your answer. I mean, I would probably even this is a weird thing to say because I know you'll win a game or 2, but I almost would put it at like 1.5. Like, I'm not sure he's completely
That's
winning
more
2
realistic.
games.
Taking the overdog all day.
It's a realistic. No, but it's realistic. But, like, do you think they would have won the Washington game with Ridley on the field?
I don't know. They were a little messy that whole game.
Sure.
I mean, they dropped.
Close at the end, though?
Yeah, maybe. I don't discount. I mean, you go back. They had so many improbable wins last year, which makes it a little tricky. But like your Giants example, I think is a good example.
Broncos game, another
what
one?
happens in the
Raiders game? They
the
won.
Colts game, the second Colts game. So I guess here's where I come. Like, I'm agreeing with you, Aaron. I don't think the draft's going to really impact that much. Like, I don't care who they get. They get a slot guy in the corner, a slot corner. They get a defensive front guy. They get a tackle. They get a tight end. I don't think that guy's like making much of a difference. I mean, like maybe a half a game difference. I don't even know if I'd go that high.
Unless somebody gets hurt.
I don't think they're doing it.
Yeah, if someone gets hurt,
that's
that's a different story. But like if that guy, whoever you drafted 24 or 56 or wherever the second pick is, if that guy's winning you 3 games, then you've kind of lucked out.
Well, now that's unbelievable luck, and that's just not happening. So I don't think the draft is going to change the projections, if you will, for this football team. I think what you guys are saying about Ridley has some legs to it. Like, I do think he might impact a football game, like an actual win. He's going to impact most likely 17 games if he stays healthy. But he might seriously impact like a win. He might be a win differential. Maybe it's 2, to your point. And this goes back to what I was saying here at the start of the show. This is why you can be okay with what the Jags have. Because I honestly believe if they're going to go, they were 9-8 last year. If they're going to win 12 games, is that a reasonable expectation to try to win 12 games this year?
I think it is.
Go 12-5?
Yeah, I think it is.
In this
I'm not telling you
division,
I'm not telling you they're going to do it. I think their over-under's 10, right? In Vegas?
I think it's
I'm pretty sure that's what it's at.
I thought it was 10.5.
Okay, so let's go 10.5. So 11 would be great. 10 would be like, okay, things didn't go exactly like we thought, but that's fine. We'll win the division at 10. 11, probably right where many people think you land. I mean, it's hard to win 11 football games in the National Football League. 12 would be, I think, feels like the high ceiling. You remember who they're playing now? Like they've got some tough teams on the schedule. So 12 would be high water. And so what I'm saying is, okay, give Ridley 1. Let's play very conservative. Give Ridley 1. He gets you to 10. I think the other 1 or 2 or however you see it comes from the guys that are already on the roster. It comes from growth. It comes from them being in it for year 2. It comes from Trayvon Walker getting better, Devin Lloyd getting better, Chad Muma getting better, Andre Sisco taking a step, Trevor being even better. And again, that doesn't mean each guy's a game. It might mean each guy's like a play or 2 in a game that allows you to win another game.
Let me ask you this then. Do you think the Jaguars are who they are or who they were in the first half of the season or the second half of the season?
I think they're more like the team from the second half of the season. But that comes with a caveat. And I'll explain myself in a moment, but the caveat part is the Jags got some very unlikely wins in that stretch. They were down 17 to the Raiders, 17 to the Cowboys, 27 to the Chargers, and they won. That is not the norm, right? That is not going to happen this year. You get down 17, you're probably losing the game. But the difference of this season to me is how it looks, feels, and is dictated. My word is dictate play. The Jags shouldn't be down 17 to the Raiders because they came out, took a 10-0 lead instead, and it turns into a more comfortable win rather than this crazy rally win that they had. That's how I think this season goes. I think they play from out front more, Aaron.
That's fair enough, but the second half they were 7-2. And so if we're looking at 10.5 as the over-under, I mean, you kind of have to underperform if you think they're the second half team to hit that 11. And then you're adding Ridley to that second year play from these other guys too.
Okay, but here's the deal, right? So this actually fits right where we're at. So they're 7-2, and in there, and I might be missing even a game. You guys tell me if I am. In that stretch, they did have the 2 17-point comeback wins.
Yes.
Let's just give them 1 and 1 L. So now that goes to 6-3.
Yep.
Played strong football, but they were 6-3. Well, now you double that up, Aaron, and that is, well, it would be 12-6. Mm-hmm. But you get my point. We're in between 11 and 12 wins and 5 and 6 losses.
Yeah.
So that is, that's who I think they're going to be. But I think they're going to look different doing it, too. Because you can also throw another improbable win in there, and that's the fourth quarter against the Ravens, although I would say that's more of an NFL win. People come back in the fourth quarter down 10.
Especially with Calvin Ridley on the team.
But also then you have to credit them with a loss that they really shouldn't have against Houston the first time. And I know that's the first half of the season, but I think we believe that they should not – well, actually, we all believe they should not be losing to Houston.
They also shouldn't be scoring 6 points.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that happens again.
No.
That was an anomaly. You're right.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things. Can you throw like a good anomaly type word out there, Aaron?
Anomaly is a good anomaly type word.
Is there another version of anomaly? I felt like I could throw adding an IC to it or an anomaly.
Anomalous? It's not a word.
Oh no. That'd be nice if I could. But anyway, I feel like there's some things last year that just didn't make sense.
I'm sorry, it is a word. I apologize.
It is
anomalous.
Anomalous.
Deviating from what is standard, normal, or expected.
Now, is that like IC or ICE?
What?
LOUS.
Oh, anomalous. That's what am I thinking?
Yeah.
OUS.
That's worse than me trying to spell Bismarck with a Z.
I was thinking because I had it as anomalic first. That's why I was thinking IC.
It's delicious.
All right. Thanks. OUS makes a lot of sense. This is a great educational program sometimes for you. But again, that was a weird season is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, you're right.
There were just some non-normal NFL things happening to them.
Like throwing 4 interceptions and winning the game.
It's that's real. You can't say that stuff's going to happen again.
Yeah, it won't.
So I think we're in the right place, though. I think it was a good talk, guys. I think Ridley's worth something is the point.
Cool.
I think the draft isn't worth a whole hell of a lot, quite frankly, in the win-loss column. I really don't.
It was a good conversation. Good job today, guys.
It does mean a lot, though, and we can continue this after the break, but I think it does mean a lot to specific people. For instance, a guy like Trent Baalke. This draft matters to Trent. He's got to perform in this draft to keep the consistency and the momentum moving. But there are other players on the roster where it matters as well who don't have their careers locked in yet.
Oh, of course, everything. And you're not wrong about that. We were talking in the context of the 2023 season.
Yes.
This draft is important going forward in 24, 25. I just don't think the impact is going to come here in 2023 from this draft. From a big win-loss standpoint is what we're getting at. Hopefully, plays here or there, some of these guys do make impacts.